What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that I'm catching up to that I missed called The Boy Behind the Door, which is a Shudder original. Let's get into it. So I am a little late to the party on this movie, but one of my viewers had told me to watch it. But I always end up watching these movies eventually. This movie got pushed up my list thanks to the viewer who I couldn't find. I'm sorry, but thank you. I'm so glad I got to see this now. The movie came out on July 29th on Shudder. It is a Shudder original that seems that they picked up a long time ago and then decided to release like really late. Because this movie was made, and they also made another movie called The Djinn shortly after it. I'll be checking that one out on this channel, so if you enjoyed this movie, come back. I'll be having a review of that soon. There are two directors and two writers, same people, that worked on this film. David Charbonnier, which I believe I'm saying his name right, and also Justin Powell. They have been lifelong friends that have been working together and just creating not only a bond, a friendship, but apparently some pretty damn good movies. And I hope they stick to it. So what is The Boy Behind the Door all about? Well, it's about two boys who are really good friends, best friends. And one day after baseball practice, they go into the forest and get kidnapped by a stranger in the middle of the woods and taken to a house in the middle of nowhere. One of the kids, Bobby, escapes while his other friend is trapped in the house, and he hears him scream, and he just can't bear to leave his best friend behind. It's got a rather young cast, and the characters that they play are very deep and dynamic characters that these kids actually pull off really well. We have Lonnie Chavis, who plays Bobby, the one that escapes, and we also have Ezra Dewey, who is in The Djinn and plays the character Kevin in this movie. Now, I won't explain any of the other characters because it might get a little spoilerific if I do, but trust me on this, everyone plays their part very well. Right off the bat, when I started to watch the movie, I immediately appreciated the tone that they went for, because it kind of starts off with what happens eventually and then goes back to their relationship to really kind of compound how great these friends are. And it's really kind of touching, you know? Both of these kids I'm just blown away by how awesome these kids are. And something that I like in horror movies is that, you know, when we watch the It movies, the kids segment, the chapter 1 of the new movies, to me was the better film. And that's because I think somewhere inside of us all, it's just scarier to watch kids go through some pretty crazy stuff. When you put them in a horror movie, boy, does that make it suspenseful just on its own. But not only that, any of the little gripes that people always have in horror movies where it's like, well, why didn't they do this? Well, they're kids. You can kind of write off anything that would be that way. But I think for the most part, I could write off and understand why they may not choose to do everything perfectly and just kind of happenstance make their way through this insane, really fucking dark story. It's harrowing as hell, and there's some moments in this movie that I screamed, yes! It got me so into it. And even Christina, who was watching the movie with me, said she can't watch the movie again because it was just too suspenseful for her. So if that tells you anything, they do a lot of really great tricks in the film to really kind of make the film flow really well. In some of the suspense too, it's got some gore in there. You know, there's some pretty messed up stuff that happens involving kids that I think is pretty bold. And the underlying story about these two friends is, I don't know, it's just kind of nice to have in a horror movie. Like, I actually give a shit about these friends. It's got just a little bit of everything in here, guys. So if you're looking for a film that's suspenseful, a little bit gory, messed up, dark, well written, I didn't really see any comedic tones in the film whatsoever, other than me screaming for joy when a little get back happens a couple of times in the film, which is pretty awesome. It's actually pretty great, and it is a damn good film. I'm very, very happy I watched it sooner than later, and I'm excited to check out the new Djinn movie because of it. And I honestly think that this belongs on the list for the end of this year. I mean, I have a lot of films this year, so we'll see where it ends up when I rewatch them all again at the end of the year. But as it stands right now, this is one of my favorite films of the year. So kudos to everyone involved in this movie. Writing, directing, acting, editing, all of it. It's a damn fine movie. I'd give this movie an easy 8, maybe even an 8.5. This is one I'll be picking up from Shudder if they put it out on Blu-ray, and I hope that they do because I want to add it to my collection. But yeah, what do you guys think? Did you see this movie already? Am I late to the game and shame on me? I know. But I had a lot going on, guys. I'm trying to make up for it. So you're going to be seeing some older films that I have not been able to watch yet that might have been released within the last month or so. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comment section down below, and if you're anxious to see it now that I've told you about it. But other than that, thank you so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.